What's up, guys? Can everyone hear us loud and clear? Good morning. Let's give another second for everyone to shake on here. I was trying to pull up a movie. There's this movie out that me and my wife watched, and I don't know how we fell across it. It was like I think it was called The Hunt. There it is. It kept freezing on me. And there was this scene in the movie where like the main character is describing the story of the tortoise and the hare. And it just reminded me, because we were talking about the story of the tortoise and the hare the other day. But she puts a crazy twist on the end of it. And I just thought it was kind of funny and interesting. But because I downloaded it on my YouTube, on my Apple TV, it won't let me screen record. I kept trying for the last half hour to, like, you know how you could go on your phone and you could flip down and then you could hit the record button, you know? So that's my trick and if you guys want to do this stuff too, I mean, we got to get our social media up, right? And until we're able to hire our own social media managers, we got to be our own we got to do it ourselves, you know? I'm not the best at social media by any means. And I was listening to Mr. Wonderful. You guys know who Mr. Wonderful is?
Shark Tank.
Yeah, he's the guy from the Shark Tank, right? So he's like the bald guy, and he was doing an interview. It was a long interview I was listening to, but he was talking about a couple things that stuck out to me. The one of the things that just brings up to light right now is that he's like, in business, you have to be able to surround yourself with a team of people that are all on the same mission. And what you want to do though is you want to actually be able to, if you're the leader, you need to be able to know what you're good at and what you're not good at, you know? And when you surround yourself with your team, everybody got to be on the same page, but not everybody got to have the same skill sets, you know? And some people on your team might be a social media person. That's your dog. You got to make me look like a superstar on social media, because I want you to know, nobody is going to call Reich up and say, hey, Reich, let me put an ad in the newspaper for you. Hey, Reich, let me promote you and your business. You're such an awesome leader. You're going to change so many lives. I want to put you on a platform and I want to promote you and what you're doing. No one's going to call you up and do that. And back in the day, if you wanted to do that for yourself, do you guys think, who do you think decided to put all these Pepsi ads up all the place? The owner of Pepsi. So is it bad to promote yourself? Is there something like people? I think sometimes we feel bad for promoting ourselves almost. When you look around and everybody promotes themselves everywhere. Right? It's happening all over the place. And everybody is just used to it. They're used to it. So if you promote yourself, you're not going to, they're used to seeing that type of stuff. You know, so anyways, social media is the best, because back in the day, if I wanted to promote myself, I would have to spend all kind of money, you know, to get on a TV show or to which I did before. Me and Simon and Justin, we literally spent all kind of money through KDKA so that we can be their premier like life insurance provider. Why do you think me and Justin were on the news? Because they thought, do you think KDKA found us and said, we want to get you guys on the news? Me and Justin were on the news because we paid thousands of dollars to have a segment on the news. You guys saw the YouTube video. I'll post it for you guys again if you want to watch. It's a quick little interview with us. But back in the day, that's what so now it's free. Okay, so now it's free. So you can post, you can do it's free self-advertising, right? And the message though from Mr. Wonderful though was, he's bad at social media. He says, I don't like to do social media. I'm bad at it. I don't like to do it. He's like, so I just hire somebody out and they're really good at it and they like to do it. So he said it was a win-win situation, right? So that's like for me, my big epiphany was when I start making enough money to where it didn't make sense for me to cut my grass. I had to cut the grass growing up, you know what I mean? And my dad, he didn't have the nice lawnmower. All the other kids I saw, they had a lawnmower and then they were able to like click a thing on it and it made it go by itself. They make lawnmowers that are like self-propelled. All the kids had them. And they didn't cut the grass anyways. All my friends, none of them even cut the grass. And the ones that did had the self-propelled or their dad had a tractor. I had the freaking push mower that you had to pull the thing and try and start it like 75 times. I don't know if I was bad at starting lawnmowers or if I just there was a lawnmower problem. I don't know if it was a user issue or other issue, but the point is when I got older, I realized that it takes me 2 hours to cut the grass, to do it right, to do the weed whacking. You got to edge everything. I at first I didn't like doing it, but after I look at it, if I did cut the grass right now and went out there and I saw that everything was done, but there was like one part of the edging where it was all sticking up, it would drive me nuts. So I'd have to go back out there and make sure it was all done right. Ironing clothes is an issue for me. I'm great at ironing clothes because I have OCD, but I'm bad at ironing clothes because it takes me forever. If I see one freaking wrinkle, I have to put it back on the thing and get it done, So hopefully you guys have a little bit of that going. That's positive, good OCD. Some people have OCD. It's not it actually detracts from their success, But I realized my epiphany was when I was making so much money that it made no sense for me to cut my grass, So let's go back to how much money we're making per hour real quick. We'll just stay on this. If you're making $250,000 a year, okay, whereas where everybody here mentally has to be at that level, okay, you're not making that right now. I wasn't making that my first year. I didn't even make that in my second year. I made 120 my first year, 200 in my second year. But I think what happened was in my first year, I treated my time like it was worth like $100,000. I treated my time like it was worth a lot more than I ever thought it would. So you have to treat your time like it's worth more than it really is. And then you'll work yourself up into that. It's a mental battle, and you constantly got to be thinking like time and money. How am I treating my time today? Am I investing my time? Am I wasting my time? Did I plan my time out today? What do they say? An ounce of planning goes for a pound of results the next day. You put an ounce of planning in today, you get a pound of results tomorrow. So, did I plan my day out? And really, it got down to like a 15-minute increments. What are you doing every 15 minutes? And then specifically, like, what are you doing in those 15 minutes? Not, are you calling for 15? Okay, I'm calling. But what are you calling for those 15 minutes? I'm going to call POS these 15 minutes. I'm going to call my referrals, because your first people that you call when you call your leads should be what? Referrals. You got to have a pecking order, right? You got to have a pecking order. So referrals are always the first people that we call. You got to call the most important leads first. And I will tell you that you probably have done it. I've done it. And I know agents are doing it. They feel like they got to call the leads and they're going to call the referrals later for some reason. They don't get it. So make sure you have a pecking order to the and then you can get detail and say, we're going to call referrals for the first half hour. Then we're going to call all our all our no-shows, all our reschedules for the second half hour, right? And then we're going to take it out. These 15 minutes are dedicated towards retention. These 15 minutes, I'm going to call all my clients that I signed up over the last month and just thank them and see how they're doing. Just hollering at my boys, hollering at my clients. Just going to see what's up with my clients for a half hour today. You should probably do that. I do that. I did that. Do you want to know who was really excited when I went to his house on Monday night, I went to Hemerson Gonzalez's house. And believe me, he twisted my arm. I did not want to do this. It's like we went, got food, recruited the waitress. Okay. She wanted to be a real estate agent. Cause I said, oh, this is pretty nice. Like, you guys open pretty late, blah, 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 blah. And it's the bartender. This is the bartender. And then I said, so do you, how many days a week do you work here? And she's like, oh, I typically do about 3-4 days a week. I'm like, oh, okay. Do you work anywhere else? And what else do you do? She's like, oh, I don't do anything else right now. I'm actually studying. I'm like, oh, that's nice. What are you studying for? She's like, I'm going to get my real estate license. And I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. I was like, you know what? I actually got my real estate license too. And I was like, but what I did, I actually retired after one day. And then I told her my story, right? And she's like, huh? And I was like, yeah, residual income. I said, you're so young, 10 years from now, you know? And I said, women and females are absolutely killing our business. They're blowing it up. And so we end up recruiting her. Then afterwards, he's like, let's go to this place called the Shark Club. They got all these TVs on the screen. Let's get one more drink. He said, one more drink. Okay. So I got one drink. I got a beer. They have some sort of Texas IPA. I tried. It wasn't good. So Texas ain't the place to get your IPAs if you're an IPA person. Okay. But he met the waitress, and the waitress is from where are you from, Marvin?
Michoacán.
Michoacán. He's from Michoacán. How about that, right? And I said, one of my managers is from there. And she said, you got to pronounce it correctly. So I don't even know. She corrected me like 6 times. Okay. I kept trying. So I said, his name's Marvin. He's from Michoacán, same place. And so now Hemerson, he's speaking Spanish. And he's like, you got great Spanish. And she was like, well, my mom was really on me about my Spanish. Wanted to make sure I was good with my Spanish. He's like, I can tell, like, you got really very nice Spanish. Like, people would love to hear you speak to them. So he's recruiting the shit out of her. And then I'm just throwing my little side. And I'm like, oh yeah, you'll be making $10,000 a month before you even wake up. You know, I'm just throwing these things in there. You know, I'm like, oh yeah, I got a here's my Maserati. You know, I got it after 4 years. Just throw those in there. But afterwards, them two are like two peas in a pod. So it turned into one drink to him having 5 glasses of what's the tequila you guys like to drink? Clase Azul? Is that what it's called? Anybody know about that? So then he's telling me all these bottles are all handmade, you know, in Mexico and all kinds. And it's not real tequila if it's not from Mexico, is what I learned. So, but anyways, them two had 5 drinks. I swear I only had one. And then afterwards, he's like, you got to come to my house. I'm like, dude, it's like 1 o'clock at night. I got to go to bed. I got to speak tomorrow at LDS. It's like, you got to come over. My wife's staying up. She's already waiting for you. So he brings me to his house, and it gets to this point, okay? To this point. He goes into the house and he goes, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. And he walks over to the refrigerator and he pulls off the refrigerator a magnet. It was a business card magnet, right? And it had the agency phone number on it. And he said, I have all my agents get the business card magnet. And when they go into the homes, they stick it up on all the refrigerators. And anytime the client has any issues, we tell them, call this number. And you know who the clients don't call? Home office. As soon as they call home office and cancel, we're screwed. If they call us, it gives us a shot. Number one, if the policy's already in force, okay, and they're already being paid monthly premiums, they better hit 4 months of monthly premiums. If it makes it to them getting issued a policy, like, do not issue someone a policy if they're not going to pay for the rest of their lives. But if you do issue them a policy, they better at least pay 4 months, or don't issue it to them. When a trial comes through, we get excited the trial came through. We want to call, hey, congratulations. Oh, yeah, you're good. But we didn't even say nothing to it. You got to re-solidify that, resell it. And if you're not comfortable that these people are going to be able to keep it for the rest of their lives, do not put that trial through. Or meet with them, reduce it down, because we've established something very important, guys. This is what kills me when business falls off the books. We've established something so important. Before you met them, they had no life insurance, and they had no idea or belief that they needed it. After you met them, not only did they know what life insurance was, but they said this, they said, I need some of that. Christina, will you fill out an application? Because I need some of that. In fact, here's my social security number and all my banking information. And here's all my medical information. So like these people have they said, I need life insurance. That is such a huge mental, transformation that you did. And I want you to know that like, if you trained your agent, then guess what you did? You did that. Because without Ryan Wilson, number one, getting his own insurance license, learning how to sell insurance himself, without him doing that, okay? And then he decides that he's going to go recruit this person. He recruits them, gets them through all the stuff, gets their license. He does all this. Then he trains them on everything. Then he coaches them up for weeks on weeks on weeks. The guy wanted to quit. He talked him out of it. Now the guy has given 100 presentations. He made it through his first 100. That's your job, is to get him through that first 100. That's our job. It takes a village. Okay. You got to get everybody through their first 100. Just give them a freaking chance. You got to give them a chance. So we get him through his 100. Now Ryan, now he goes out, dude, in his 101 presentation and makes a sale. Right. And all because of that, this guy was 40 years old, had a wife, 2 kids, literally was running around Earth, driving his car every day. And he had no life insurance. And after Ryan did all that work and trained up, we'll call him Little Johnny, trained up Little Johnny. Now, all of a sudden, this client, boom, the light bulb goes off in their head. And then they're like, sign me up, Little Johnny. So he signs up the whole family, right? Who did that? Ryan did that. Ryan did that. That's pretty cool. That's a lot of work though, okay? For something silly to happen and the business to fall off the books. And if it does fall off, you as the manager should feel the utmost confidence in putting it back, because we got all remember this. The client had admitted that they need our help, right? So, we just got to always remember that. So the point is did I ever say anything about business card magnets to anybody ever?
Yeah.
Swore by them. I swore by them. I might have been the only goofball running around doing it at one point. But guess who had the highest retention in the agency? Guess who had the most of this stuff? Guess who had the most? I swear. I had way more than the person in second place. Like I'm getting 22, Justin's getting 14, Maddie's getting 12. That was the numbers. Business card magnets. I drove it home for myself and my team. We were in the homes. So what I would do, guys, is I would make sure that you're doing your thank you cards, and you set this habit up with your team too. You make sure your team's doing your thing. But when you do the thank you cards, you put 3 business cards in there. At least, man, I'd stick as many as you can in there, just so they get the point. Because you want to let them know, hey, these extra business cards are not for you. Okay, if you can please get these 5 extra business cards into the hands of 5 people that you know that would benefit from working with me as well. I would do that when I was in the home though. So when I would meet with the client, first thing you do is you give them business cards. As soon as you walk in the home, you give them a business card, right? Because you know what that establishes, that says, I'm here for business, right? And then so Joe and Mary each have one. Then at the end, you put them in their folder, and then I give them another business card just so they have them. Okay. Thank you. Nice meeting you guys. I do everything. And then I say, before I wrap up, I'm like maybe walking out the door. I might even have my bag with me. I would say, you want to know what, guys? If I could, Joe, could I give you three more of my business cards? And if I could ask you, these ones aren't for you because I know you guys already have a couple of my cards already. If I could ask you, next time you're out, would you be able to get these into the hands of 5 people or 3 people, the next 3 people that you see that will benefit from meeting with me as well? And I joke, next time I see you, better not still have those cards on you. And that's what I would say to them, as my little line, right? So I asked them for referrals probably 17 times during the damn presentation. And then at the end, I'm walking out the door and I'm like, oh, by the way, they're like, this dude definitely wants some referrals for me. Like, I got it. And then just when you think it's not enough, then I send them a thank you card. Oh, but then I take the business card magnet, I stick it up on their fridge. If you ever need anything, okay, here's my business card. The picture that we just took, I'm going to send it to you in the mail. Okay, if you could do me a favor, if you could take that picture and stick it up on the refrigerator with the business card right here, that way you'll never forget about me. Okay. If something ever happens, Joe, people usually make 2 phone calls. The first phone call to usually call will be 911. And a lot of times the second phone call is the phone call to me. I just want you to know I'm going to be there for you and your family, no matter what it is. Okay. And today we did get your foot in the door to a great program, but later on down the line, I'll be able to help you guys, make adjustments, do whatever you need to do. But the biggest compliment, blah, blah, and I just go into my referral thing again with them, sending them thank you cards, dropping 3 or more in there. But I put the magnet on the thing, and I think it really, 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 really helped. And then I go down to Texas and I see this guy showing it to me like it's the greatest invention of the world. I didn't even say a word to him. I swear I didn't say a word to him. I was like, that's a great idea, man. Meanwhile, what am I going to kill his thunder? I was gonna be like, bro, I was doing that since 2008, but I wasn't gonna kill his thunder, so I let him run with it. But the point is, I'm at this guy's house 2 o'clock in the morning. This is what he's showing me, right? Excited about that. So there's something to be said about those business cards, business card magnets, all that stuff. Another thing Mr. Wonderful was going over. He said that out of all the startups that he has done through Shark Tank, okay, first year profitability, okay, no first year profitability for any of the ones that were started by the men. The only companies that he's ever gotten any first year profitability from the female CEOs. Let's check this one. I think one of them needs to be muted or something. Is there feedback on the Vena agency one over there? Is that better? Yeah, there we go. All right. So I thought that was pretty profound. And he's like, to be honest, I don't even know if I want to work with the men anymore. Me neither. No, I'm kidding. Just all the girls. No, but I mean, there's something to be said about that, because we've seen that trend as well, in our business. So LDS guys, we had a trip down to LDS, 2 recently trips to LDS. So our essays all went down there and just learned over the past month. And then we have all the GAs and MGAs were down there. And I think between everything that we've all learned, we got to take some time and figure out, what are some really key things that can help our agency. What are some things that are compatible with what we're doing that we can just slide right in? And what are some things, and then we got to prioritize, like, all right, I want to do all 10, but like, we can't do all 10 today. Like, so what's going to be the first? What the hell is this? Did it just kick us out?
No, I can still hear you, Tommy.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That happened to me again. Okay. It said you've been kicked out or something because you were signed into a different device. So I don't know. I was about to try and sign back in. All right, I found you guys on my screen. So what was I saying before they kicked us out? Oh, we got to prioritize. So what's the most important things that we want to start doing first, from the LDS and all that. Side note, next month, they wanted to fly me back down to Texas again to speak, because they have a 401, which is for all the like newer SGAs, and they want me to speak to them. And I told them yes and no. I said, yes, I'll speak. No, I'm not flying to Texas. I don't even know if you guys know what the heck happened to me, but I had my headphones on and I'm just, listening to, I think I was listening to this book. It's a great book, man. I definitely would recommend you to get this book. And here it is. It came right up. It's called How to Lead. And it's by David Rubenstein. And basically what he does is he interviews the most successful people in the world. And it's a live interview. So it's like, so Oprah, I understand you were raised differently, when you were raised up, you were beat and you were sexually molested and all this kind of stuff. How did that form? And then she's sitting there pouring her heart out. It was amazing. And it is like there's like 25 people on it. Jeff Bezos crushed it. He opens up with Jeff Bezos, crushes it. He interviews everybody. I mean, what's that guy right there? Bill Gates, he had Charles Bronson, Warren Buffett. Like, so it's pretty cool. But anyways, I was listening to that book and, and then all of a sudden the plane lands, it's boom, I hit the boom because I didn't even know we were coming down. And I take my headphones off, and the guy next to me who was wearing no shoes, which is disgusting. He goes like this. He takes his shoes off. He starts rubbing his feet. I'm like, what the heck's going on? I mean, this is just nuts. Then I was like, man, we're stuck on his plane. I said to him, normally I bring some food with me. I didn't bring any food. He reaches in his bag and grabs one of those granola bars. He's like, here, you want a granola bar? And I was like, no, I'm okay. Like, I don't want to touch the granola bar after you touch the granola bar after you're just rubbing your feet next to me, So anyways, interesting flight to say the least. I land and the lady comes on and she's like, welcome to Indianapolis. I was like, did I get on the wrong flight? He's like, no, they had to divert the thing over here. So long thing, I took Uber back, but I told him I'm not going to Texas, but they did ask me to speak at the 401 down there. That's coming up next month. But with the LDS, I would like to take the last, at least 15 minutes, half hour and kind of go and hear what we want to start doing and implementing and, maybe just go around it. We have to keep it quick though, because everybody's going to have a lot of stuff, but I think if we all go around and say a couple things that stood out, it might even become repetitive. And then the ones that have become most repetitive, I was thinking those are probably going to be the ones that we're going to want to lean towards, implementing and stuff. Right. So I'm sure we learned a lot from there. Before we break into that, I just wanted to go over some numbers on just numbers in the business. Right. I went over some numbers at LDS And I kind of want to do a little bit of that with you guys. Okay, just to repeat that a little bit and just show you some like how easy it really, how simple, not easy by any means. Like we just talked about for Ryan to get that person to sell a deal, he had to do all that stuff, get little Johnny in. Like it's a lot of work. Okay, it's not easy by any means. If it was easy though, everybody be doing this, right? And then we would make everybody money, and we don't want to make everybody money. We want to make 1%er money, right? So, and we're all going to be building towards that. So those numbers we'll go over. Before we dive into that, because once I go into these numbers, I'm going to just go. Today is what for the month? Today is halftime. So today is our halftime of August. So when you want to have your halftime huddle, if you want to just check a look at your goals of where you're at for the month, versus where you want to be, today's halftime. So use that as your gauge for your team as well. If you got someone on your team that needs to do 10,000, are they at least at 5,000 right now? And then what's the game plan to get them to the other 5,000? If you're a leader, please don't leave me hanging on the 25th. Don't have me sitting here with 3 agents. It's almost going to be embarrassing if you're not here. Please. And if you can't come, I qualify and say I can't make it. Like if you know that you and your mom are going to Las Vegas for her 40th birthday, you're taking her, and you've been planning this for years. Okay, please do that. Don't come here, but still qualify, still hit the 10K. All right. I'm disappointed because I figured most of you guys would be there by now. And looking at the numbers, most of us are not. The majority of are not there. I thought the majority mean 50%. I thought at least half the managers, half the leaders would be leading the way and showing their team, there's no excuses. Like, dude, I made it here in 2 weeks. You got 5. That's called leadership. That's leadership. Like a leader goes out there and kills 10 people and comes back like, what are you doing? You're sitting here crying in the corner. I just killed 10 people. Let's get you out there. We're in the middle of war right now. We need your help, dog. I just went out there. I freaking slam dunked the ball, dove, broke my arm. I'm playing with a broken arm. My shoulder's broken right now. I can't breathe. They didn't give me a break. Okay, I scored 47 points and I'm still diving for the ball, and you're jogging down the freaking court. That's leadership. The pack is only going to move as fast as the lead wolf. That's leadership. Leadership is not your speeches. Leadership is not motivation speeches. They can go get that on YouTube all day long. I could send motivation speeches. I could do it all day long. That's not leadership. Leadership is leading the way. Leading the way. Right? We're not taking the path that's most chosen. We're leaders. We're going out there making our own path and carving a way for everybody else. The best analogy, okay? The best analogy, because you guys got to use this stuff in your coaching your people, okay? When you're talking to, in recruiting especially, this is a good line to use in recruiting. I use this line 5 days a week. I use this line 5 days a week for 12 years straight, right? Every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I use this line. Because remember, my ass was doing group interviews on Saturday. I was either in the field on Saturday at 8 a.m. And then when I got out of the field on Saturday at 8 a.m., Simon's like, let's start running group on Saturday. So then my Saturday mornings went to putting a suit and tie on and going to the office and doing company overviews and running groups and doing interviews. And we had a rotation. Justin, your assistant had to work this Saturday and get everybody in. My assistant will work next Saturday. Brian's assistant, we had a 4 rotation. There were 4 managers in the office. So all of our assistants had to work one Saturday. But anyways, the point is that The line was always this. I tell you, in leadership in our business, a leader in our business is going to be more of a tour guide versus a travel agent. And if you think about it, Joe, if you ever met a travel agent before, well, if you ever had to meet a travel agent, where do you meet a travel agent at? Yeah, you typically meet them like at their office, right? And where does a travel agent send you? It'll send you wherever you want. And typically what they'll do is they'll hop online, they'll hop on like a computer and they'll be like, you know what, it looks pretty good in Hawaii right now. And you could say, well, have you ever been to Hawaii? No, I've never been to Hawaii, but I hear there's one resort over here. It actually looks good in Cabo as well. Have you ever been to Cabo? Well, no, I have never been to Cabo, but I could send you to Cabo. See, a tour guide, you meet them in their office, or travel agent, you meet them in your office, and they send you places they've never been before. That's a travel agent. A leader in our business is more of a tour guide. See, if you meet a tour guide, where do you meet a tour guide at? You meet them at the location, right? And where does a tour guide take you? Tour guide takes you places that they have been many times before, right? That's the leader in our business. So that's a great way to just describe that to somebody who wants to get into leadership, or if you're doing some career discussions with someone. So let's go into the numbers. So let's say that you're an essay, okay? What does an essay typically make off of their team on average? Just to keep it simple. What percent? It's about 10%, 10%, okay? So whatever your team does, you could make about 10% a week. So if you're an essay and you have 2 people on your team, and those 2 people each do 2,000, okay? That means your team did 4,000. You make 10% of that, you made 400, okay? Now, you also lead from the front and do 2,000. At that point, you're going to make about $1,000. So you make 1,000 from your own personal production, 400 from your team. So that's $1,400. And I'll do it. I already did the math on it, 72, but I'll show you. 1,400 times 52. You're making $72,000 a year by being an essay, the lowest level in leadership, only 2 people, only doing 2,000. Nobody is coming close to their potential or being a superstar. No home runs are being hit, right? Come on. We should be at 2,000 by 2:00 on Tuesday. 2,000 that's 2:00 on a Tuesday. Come on. Like, what are we doing? As a leader, you got to be at 2,000 on Tuesday. You don't got time to go chase ALP all week. I got shit to do. I got to train these people. I got to recruit these people. I can't be worried about my numbers Friday or Saturday. Sunday, I'm still chasing my damn numbers. Get your numbers done by Tuesday at 2:00 and put that shit to bed so you can work on growing your business. But you ain't going to grow shit if you ain't leading from the front, because you're fugazi at that point. Pseudo. Fake. Right? You're not a real leader at that point because you ain't leading. Leading means getting there first. A leader is at practice first. When they're running sprints, the leader's the first one to cross the line. That's the leader. They're leading. On my way to football practice every day, I tell my son, I say, Tommy, when you go to practice today, I want you to really listen to the coach. As soon as he says, put the helmet on, I want you to be the first one with the helmet on. As soon as he says line up, I want you to be the first one to line up. I want you to be a leader. And me, how do I describe a leader to an 8-year-old, to a 9-year-old, right? The way I described it to him was, you got to be first. A leader is first. You got to be the first one there. You got to be first one. As soon as he says huddle up, you're the first one. You need to lead everybody. And then you got to do this, Tommy. I said, Tommy, you put your helmet on, and then I want you to help all the other kids get their helmets on. You can't help other kids get their helmets on if your helmet ain't on. So get your shit on first. This is the conversation I'm having with him. A 9-year-old, to get it into his head what it takes to be a leader. So you got to be at 2,000 first, way before your agent gets there. And if you want to be the top dog in this agency, then you got to be the first one there first, period, amongst anybody, everybody. Christina gets the job done. Ashley gets the job done. No questions. I don't even got to think who's going to be first. I know they're going to get it. I already know. You think Austin ain't going to write the business? Austin's going to write freaking 8,000-10,000 a month with her eyes closed. I already know it's going to happen. I know Ryan Wilson's going to write the business. But who's going to be there first? Because that's the real leader amongst the leaders, you know? So that's how I describe it to a kid, you know? And there's just something to be said to that. So anyways, you got to get your 2,000, but check that out. How simple is it to make $72,000 in the great land of the United States of America? Right? And you don't even got to do it on your own. You got a whole team of a whole bunch of people that are going to help you get the first 2 people on your team. You don't even got to go get the 2 people by yourself. You're going to have a whole bunch of people help you. Like, okay, Ryan went and got the 2 people, but did Ryan do all the interviews? No. Austin met with him. Gio met with him. I did the group interview. They saw my group interview. I meet with him through the pipeline. He's meet with him. You're meet with him. It's a whole big team. You don't even got to do it by yourself. Dude, imagine you got to do it all by yourself. Think about that, man. That would be hard. Harder. Still hard. Does this make sense though? Like, to make $72,000, just get 2 people to do 2,000 a week and you do 2,000 a week. That's a significant income. I want you to know that my father worked for probably 25 years before he cracked 75,000 as an engineer. He graduated from Pitt, civil engineer, when he was 20. He worked 20 to 30, 30 to 40. And I think right around when I was graduating college, they started paying him like $75,000. Took him 25 years. That's America. I was in the Uber driving back from Indianapolis, 3-hour ride. This random guy next to me who he had a shirt on that said the man. And if I knew nothing about wrestling, I might not have got this ride. So I said, the man. I said, is that Becky Lynch, the man? He's like, yeah, that's Becky Lynch. He's like, she just got married, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, that's cool. My kids love wrestling. He's like, you know, and then we start talking. He's like, you know what I'm doing? I'm actually, I got an Uber right now. Like, oh, wow, where are you going? He's like, I'm going to Chicago. I was like, what are the freaking odds? I met this random guy. You know, out of all the people there, I end up meeting this guy. And he wasn't much to look at, to be honest with you, okay? But anyways, I found that the average income for a flight attendant, because the reason I couldn't get home was because the flight attendants reached their hours, the pilot reached their hours. You're only allowed to fly for a certain amount of hours legally, you know, and it makes sense. Same thing with truckers too. So we were looking up though, how much the average flight attendant makes. And get this, they only get paid when the plane's in the air. So they can get to the airport, do all this stuff. They said sometimes the flight attendant will work for 14 hours and only get paid for 6. Because they only get paid when they're in the air. So then they got to fly to Boston, and then they land, and now they're stuck in Boston for a day. They don't get no money. They're stuck in Boston, and then they fly back. They only get for the fly back to Pittsburgh. The average flight attendant is home 7 days a month. Home 7 days a month. The average flight attendant makes $30 an hour. The average flight attendant makes around $50,000 a year. And the point is, the guy next to me, when I was going over these statistics with him and the Uber driver, is he goes, "That's not too bad." I was thinking, that fucking sucks. Excuse my French today. That's not too bad, 50 grand a year. I want you to know, most people in America, 50 grand a year is actually, it's not even not too bad. It's actually pretty good. All of us right now with our fingertips can push a few buttons, say a few words, and cough out $72,000. Isn't that crazy? And guess what you're doing? Horrible. I'm gonna be pretty disappointed in your performance. Your managers are pretty, because we're expecting way more than that, right? So you could make $72,000 losing, being like we get the report out, and you're like number 18. You send that into your mom, like Mason. Mason's gonna send it to his mom. Mom, check it out. I was number 18. She's like, 18, is that good? Well, yeah, 18 makes 80 grand a year. So anyways, I thought that was pretty cool, right? Now, when you go to the GA position, okay, the GA makes 12.5% on average, right? And then the MGA makes 15% on average. And then the RGA makes 13.5% on average. So just so you guys know that. How the heck am I going to make 72,000? How the heck am I going to get 2 people to do 2,000 each? Right? How can I ensure that to happen? Right? Because I don't want to just every week just try and come up with some gimmick to make it happen. Like, oh, this week I'm gonna dangle out a gold chain. This week we're gonna, put everybody against each other. Like, all that's important, but how can I systematically have to where it makes sure it happens? It's all in the numbers. Like, what I would do is like, all right, I need to make sure that my guys at least do 2,000, but they each want to do more. So I'm going to be coaching up to more than this anyways, typically. But at least for them to do 2,000, they're going to need to get 10 sit downs for the week to guarantee that to happen. They're trained by me, like I used to say, I could be able to take their presentation, record it on a voice recorder, tie it to a dog's neck, send the dog to 10 homes. He'll come back with 3 checks in his mouth. Don't overcomplicate it, right? It's literally that simple. We got to get that dog into 10 homes, right? So that's what we're coaching up. Systematically, how can I get that done? Well, we know that typically to get 10 sit downs, it's about 600 to 900 phone calls. It's about 600 to 900 phone calls. So I got to make sure that I set up a situation for my people for them to get that done. If I'm the leader and I got them scheduled all day long doing all kind of crazy stuff, and they don't have any time to even get those 600 to 900 phone calls in, so I need to set up a situation and show my team how and where and when we're going to accomplish these 600 to 900 phone calls for the week. right? Whether it's we're going to call for an hour in the morning on Tuesday morning, and we're going to do 25 calls there. Then we're going to call for 3 hours over here. We're going to get another 75 over here, right? And then so you got to make sure that you have the time scheduled in there for them 600 to 900 phone calls to at least happen, right? Then on top of that, to get 10 sit downs, right? What I would want it to happen, guys, is another thing is we got to start getting away from the Monday for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for Friday, Saturday. Okay, we got to start getting away from that, and it got to just be a day, everyday thing. And imagine this. Imagine if they gave 2 presentations a day, 5 days a week. By Friday, everybody will be done. They can take off on the weekend. The only people that will be working on the weekend will be the ones that want to give more than 10 presentations a week. That's called overtime. And if you want it, go get it. But we need to have it so that our game plan is not for them to hit their goal by working Sundays. Well, you want to know what? I'll take that back. For them to hit their goal, if their goal is really high and it's their goal, they may need to work on Sundays. That may be dude, there's no way you're going to, like Gio, for him to hit his goal when he was in the field, like, I'm like, bro, I mean, like, I don't know if you're going to have to work Sundays for your goal, you know, but for the people to do their commits, for everybody to do 2,000, just do 2 presentations 5 days a week. Now, if let's say it's Friday and you end up hitting 8, well, now you got to work Saturday and Sunday to get your 10, right? Because you didn't do your work during the week. You got to make it up a little bit. But that's your motivating factor to get it done by Friday, because I don't want to do shit this weekend. So it's going to get people to work harder while we're working. We have too much time. When people have 7 days, what happens is lollygagging. My football coach was called grab acid. He's like, quit your grab acid and get over here, right? So anyways, that's what happens when we have 7 days. But if they got to get it done by Friday, then they got to get it done. And they're going to be hustling and giddying up in a little bit more during the week. 2 presentations a day. Come on, guys. We got from 8 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. That's like 14 hours. Give 2 presentations all day long. With all the referrals we got, with all the people we can get it done, right? And between having a system of making sure the phone calls are being made. And then here's the thing though, some people make phone calls and they make phone calls like shit. Like we had a gentleman, Matt Wasson, who was calling my leads. I paid for him. He didn't pay for him. And I gave him leads and he come back and he said, I need hard cards because I wasn't trained on the wheel kits. So I give this mother effer hard cards. And then I find out he's calling with no script in front of him. Last time I checked, he just got his insurance license a fucking month ago. What is he doing making phone calls without a script in front of him? Who does he think he is? And who do we think we are if we're not calling with our script in front of us? Are you that badass at this point? You didn't even graduate yet. You didn't even graduate with your bachelor's degree in the business, and you're running around thinking you don't need the script. It takes 4 years. In career conversations, you got to have these career conversations with people, constantly vision casting. That's all right, bro. You're in your freshman year. Wait till your sophomore year. You ever play sports? You ever play? And if you catch people who play sports, just be like, remember when you were a freshman? Do you remember how bad it sucked? Okay. Now, do you remember when you were a senior? And do you remember how awesome that was? When you were a senior, you were badass on campus, right? That's going to be you 4 years from now. Okay. But when I went to college, they sat us down and they said, look to your left, look to your right. One of you guys, or they said like, one of you guys are going to be here. 2 out of 3 of you aren't going to be here 4 years from now. I said, well, it ain't going to be me. I'm going to be here. But so I tell people to say, listen, when you go to college, people like literally, they try and they apply. They send all these applications out all over the place, right? Oh, and you know how stressful it is applying for college? I think I just blocked that out of my memory, that portion of my life. I think I just forgot it because it's just like horrible time of my life applying for college. I hated it. It was the worst, right? And then you're praying that somebody sends you a letter of acceptance. So you finally get this letter of acceptance to go to Penn State, your dream, you're a Nittany Lion. And 2 out of 3 of those people don't graduate 4 years from now. And they're paying money to go there. They wanted to do it that bad that they would pay 20 grand a year to go there. That's like how bad they wanted to do it. And they don't make it. So we got to get people here to graduate. And it's going to take them 4 years to graduate, right? But we got to have these conversations with them. We don't want to have the same rates that the colleges are having. So Mason was talking about he was recruiting these guys at the Polo store or something at the mall. And he said that they're all in college. They're all looking to go to college. And I said, well, that's great. Because now we could send them to our university. So literally when I don't know, we should probably just call it like the Vena Agency University, you know. It's the University of Adversity. You know, that's the deal. That's becoming a millionaire. You graduate from the University of Adversity when you go to become a millionaire, for sure. There is nobody that became a millionaire without major adversity. So anyways, what the heck were we going over? Oh, the numbers. We're going over the numbers, right? And what the heck was I just talking about? I think I went on a little bit of a tangent there. But anyways,
In 2000 on Tuesday, leaders leading from the front with ALP.
Yeah.
They need to be for the weekend.
Yeah. Oh, the numbers. That's right, the numbers. So making sure, number one, that we have 600 phone calls built into the thing. Number one, making sure that we're making the phone calls the right way. Okay, that's what our job is to make sure that they're being done the right way. So having the phone sessions together, especially with newer agents in their first 90 days. They definitely got to be calling with us in the first 90 days. Okay. Now, once they're out of their 90 days and they're rocking, I still want them calling. But if there were a couple of days where they couldn't call with us, I wouldn't be that hell bent. Like, oh man, I wouldn't be that worried. Because you've seen them call for 90 days. But I want you to know, I've seen people call for 90 days under and then I'll catch them a month later, and I literally will be like, are you using, like, what are you saying right now? Where did you get this? This is not the phone script that we were trained on. So I want you, people will, after a month or two, start saying some wacky stuff. Okay. So you got to make sure you get back in there and just get them back on track. Here's the cool thing about going off track. We're all going to go off track. I talked about this last week a little bit, guys. Like, I got off track with some shit and it was driving me nuts. Okay. Like, sometimes stuff is going to get a little bit out of control. Like I talked to you guys about, you can't be in control of everything. Sometimes we're going to get off track a little bit, but if we don't adjust it, it is going to continue to go further off track. Okay. And if we don't address it, but before you know it, you're way far off track and it's almost impossible to get it back on track. But the cool thing about going off track, here's the thing, guys, is that you got a track and you can get right back on that thing. And Most people don't even got a track. They don't even got a system. They don't have that stuff going on. So the cool thing about getting off the track, we just get you right back on it. But you got to recognize it's happening though, and address it though. You can't be afraid to address it. If you see an agent or yourself getting a little bit off track, you might not even, I don't got time to, you're going to have, if you don't got time to address it now, then you're going to have to spend 10 times the amount of time addressing it later when it becomes a bigger issue because they got off script. Then they pissed off a client. Now we got to meet with them. Now they got to fill out a summary sheet, or I'm sorry, not a summary sheet. You got to fill out an agent statement. And then now your client's not allowed to run hard cards anymore. So now we only allowed to give them child safe. So now you got to spend more time training them on child safe, right? When we could have just addressed the issue, when you heard them say a little bit of wacky stuff on the phone, you just addressed it right then and there before it got out of hand, right? So, that's what our job is. We have to be able to inspect what we expect. I expect them to be on script, right? So we need to inspect that if that's what you expect. What the heck was I wanted to touch on? I wanted to touch on some other numbers as well with these phone calls. So yeah, we make the 600 phone calls, 900, 900 phone calls, have that on a schedule, make sure we're inspecting the phone scripts, and then giving the 10 presentations during the week, 2 presentations a day. How many appointments per day? That's the next thing, is how many appointments per day would you think that your agent or you would need to make sure you give at least 2 presentations a day? I would say 5. 5 set or 6? Not 7. Was that 6? I see 6. Okay, 6, 1 out of 3. So if you have 6 set in a day, that'll guarantee you'll see at least 2. Would you guys say okay on that? 6 set a day, guarantee you'll see at least 2 if you're virtual. If you're in person, you could probably get away with 4 or 5. Because they can't run and hide. They're at their house. So door knocking is huge. Door knocking is huge. And when we were in person, I would get the same results that the virtual people get on the phones. The difference is I made up that gap. I made up the gap, guys, on the door knocks, right? So if you're virtual, you can't really make up the gap on those on door knocks as much, So I would say you probably would need like 6 on a virtual, but probably 4 or 5 if it was in person. Side note, the company is working on trying to generate a better virtual situation that's basically a virtual lead. Right now we're taking all of our normal leads that we always ran for the last how many years, and we're just running them virtual. They're actually they're putting a lot of money, like millions of dollars into this for us, okay, as we speak, to try and develop a virtual lead strictly for our virtual teams. So that's exciting on the side as well. The company's coming up with that. Okay. I have 4 people over the past, 12 years I've developed relationships with. They own insurance companies. Okay. I want you to think outside the box. All right. This is a great opportunity for you. Okay. Ryan, I know you know a lot of people, bro. Okay. This is this is networking right here. I met a guy on Friday when I took the kids to the fair, and he was a real nice guy, and he was giving the kids like candy and shit or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, my name's Joe, blah, blah." I'm like, "Why is this guy so nice?" Right. And he's like, "Oh, I if you ever need any insurance, I own an insurance agency here in town." So that's why he's being so nice to me, right? He wanted to get my name, right? So I was like, "Oh, that's pretty." He's like, "Well, what do you do? Where do you live?" I live over here. He's like, "What do you?" I was like, I have do an insurance agency as well. He's like, "Oh, that's interesting. What kind do you do?" I was like, "Well, we do life insurance. We typically work with organizations, groups, blah, 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 blah." He's like, oh, I was like, what do you do? He's like, we do property casualty. I do like a lot of car insurance, some like supplemental health care and stuff like that. I'm like, oh wow, that's cool, man. He's like, we should hook up for lunch or something, I was like, yeah, that's definitely, He's like, here, he pulled my line. This is how I knew he was good. He goes like this, I swear. He goes, hey, how about this? I'll text you over my name and information right now. Well, in order for him to text me over, I had to give him what? My phone number, right? So that's always my line, just so you guys know. If you're recruiting, you're like, you want to know, how about this? You want to, let's connect later. I'll text you over my information, right? If you have to text, you're going to get there. So he did that to me. Just promise you, dude, right? And let's see here. What's his name? Joe Janicki. But anyways, he did that to me. And the whole point of it is he threw out at the end, he said, well, I don't do any life insurance. He's like, so, and I got people that always ask me for life insurance. Cause like, yeah, hey Joe, I got your car insurance. I need some life insurance, especially now. So look, Friday at 4:55 p.m., Joe Janicki from Brightway Insurance, that he texted me first, right? So then I texted him yesterday. I said, hey, Joe, nice to meet you last week at the fair. How's it going? Going really well. How are things with you? Getting all settled in? I said, yeah, man, just got back from Texas. I wanted to see if you wanted to connect over lunch or something over the next few days, if you're free. He said, absolutely. What's your week look like next week? And I know Fred and Natalie are here. So I said, I got Wednesday or Friday. And he said, let's do Wednesday. I don't need to sell life insurance, right? But this guy wants me, I'm going to hook up with him. He wants me to sell all his clients. He has thousands of people. And now I can hook up with him and get them all life insurance. And then I told him, I said, hey, bro, if it works out, if it works out, I got about 30 people at our office, and they all drive around, and they all need car insurance. And you probably could give them some better deals as well. So I got this guy. You see the connection here? Like, what a great situation. He can't offer him life insurance. He didn't even do life insurance, right? On the other hand, I could even give him a kickback. So it's a win-win situation. So I have this guy I'm meeting with. That's brand new. The other guy who we sold the policy for on Tuesday morning, that was the easy 1900 ALP. He owns his own insurance agency in Ohio, but he only does car insurance and health insurance. People hit him up and said, Justin, can you give me some life insurance? He said, yeah, we work with the Veen agency. We work with Tommy. Tommy's our life insurance specialist. I'm his life insurance specialist for his thousands of clients that have car insurance. Wow. Right? Come on. Dude, he called me up. He said, this guy, Marty McLeod, needs life insurance. He wants to spend about $150 a month. I was looking at the stuff already. Probably for him, we're going to need to do about $30,000 a whole life and about $200,000 of accidental. But we'll meet with him and see what he wants. We met with him. Drew met with him at 9 o'clock. The guy didn't get on till 9:03. The meeting was done by 9:23. Application filled out and everything. Right, Drew? 2 thumbs up. So that's an opportunity out there for everybody here. You own your own insurance agency, So I have Justin, I have this guy, I have 4 people right now, 4 people that I'm working on these opportunities with, right? They're all out there. Just keep that on your back burner. You don't have to go actively, but I would try and actively get a situation set up like that for myself. Who's your car insurance agent? Don't you pay somebody for car insurance? Hey, if my dad told me, if you do business with them, they need to do business with you, or else you take your business down the street and you do business with them. And if they don't do business with you, you don't do business with them. You think that's the only business that you can do business with? I ain't buying my car insurance from you anymore, Raina. My girl's Raina. I'm about to tell Raina. In fact, I got to talk to her today because she didn't give me a damn rental car yet. Stuck driving a Maserati around. So when I call her today, I'm going to let her know, like, hey, when's my policy up? When do I renew this thing? Okay, great. Well, I'd like to work with you, but I do have another agency that wants to work hand in hand with me. And I'm going to have to take my business over there. But I really like working with you though. So I'd like to maintain our relationship and I'd like us to work hand in hand. So if we can, here's what I would like to do. Right? And if she ain't down to play ball, I'm gonna go down the street. Like I need to get new tires on the car. I'm gonna tell the guy, hey, I'll get some tires off you, but do you know anybody? Do you need life insurance? I do life insurance. So do you know anybody? All right. If you can't, I'm probably gonna have to go somewhere else. Like that's how you gotta be, right? So just giving you guys some ideas. Right now, I know we all have car insurance, So dude, how many when you drive around your town, how many State Farm offices, how many nationwide offices are there? They're all over the place. There's so many of these like agency owners that they own their own agency, There's got to be one or two that want to make a little bit extra bread on the side. So what I told Justin to do, I said, Justin, if you give me Marty, I'll give you whatever we get paid off of it. I'll give you a percentage of that, right? So Justin gave us Marty, and we wrote 1,900, but I'm giving a portion of that money that I made to him, right? But I told him, I said, I don't want to do that, Justin. I want you to be able to make all the residual income in this business as well. Because in his business, there's poor residual income in the property casualty. You don't get much, okay? There's no lifetime, obviously. The average person keeps their car insurance company for 3 years. So that's why you don't want to be selling car insurance, because they go to Nationwide, and then Geico offers them offer a deal, and then they go on to the general.com, and whatever they can do to get a better deal, they're always switching it up, right? Life insurance don't work that way, obviously, because 10 years from now, how are you going to get a better deal than what you got today? It's just only going to get more expensive, So that's just, think about that. And so for Justin's a great guy though. I told him, I said, bro, I'd love for you to have the residual income, the residual income. So I'd love for you to have that. And so he's getting his wife licensed, because he can't be licensed with us because he's licensed with other companies. He's getting his wife licensed, right? And then I'm gonna have him coded to us, and boom. And he's gonna write hundreds of thousands of dollars for us. And we're worried about getting one agent to write $2,000 a week. That's called being a rainmaker. You're not just worried about getting a little drink of water. You're making it rain for everybody else around you, So I know Austin's head's churning right now. Because back in the day, I could only do this in Pittsburgh. Now, I could do this all over the country, right? I want you to know I met with home office yesterday. David Zoffin was in town, and one of my good friends, Evan, the guy that broke my shoulder who was driving the boat, okay, he has an insurance agency in Pittsburgh, and they do all the same stuff I'm talking about, the same exact situation, but it's a huge operation, okay? They do $50,000 a year in supplemental benefits, $50,000 a year in supplemental benefits, $50 million a year, $50 million a year, no life. So I met with David Zoffin when he was here. We called Evan up, and Evan's licensed with some other companies. So basically I'm getting home office to do a crazy test. They've never done this before. They're going to test this situation where we're going to partner with this company, and we're going to run all his policy holders and sell them all life insurance. He has like a million people. 1 million people, right? So home office is, so I want you to, I'm telling you guys this now because home office is approving, this is my idea. This is our shit. Nobody else in the company is one other person who brought this to home office. Name is Mark Zipper, and it's a little different situation. Okay. So this can be our little thing that I'm working on right now, getting approved by the company. And literally, David Zoffin called me yesterday. I could show you. I met on Skype with him, Debbie Gamble, Joel Scarborough, like the main people from home office and Globe yesterday for an hour. And I had to sell them on this, like major, like I went in sales mode, straight sales mode, you know, with excitement, enthusiasm, passion. And I was telling them how this can be an opportunity for the company to get to their $1 billion a year faster. We got to get into different markets, you know, and they're not in their head. You know, I was selling them on this shit. So anyways, all we got to do is he called me, he said, Tommy, I think I got this approved for us because David Zoffin wants us to do this. And he said tomorrow, by Friday, I talked to the head of Globe and I'll have this all patched out for us. So I thought that could be a huge opportunity for us. You know, if even one of you guys get that and run with it, man, it'd be great. And it don't gotta be somebody that you know. I just met Joe down the street on Friday. I just met him on Friday, you know? So I know I went over on time, guys. I wanted to take the last half hour and go over from LDS. But if we could, I got to jump on it at 9:30 with Natalie and Fred. We're going to plan out their meeting when they come out here and everything. But if we could, you know, let's run around real quick. Everybody just let's see if we could start with the people that were at the LDS that we just attended. And then we'll go to the other one. But anybody have like, did you guys have anything that you really, like Gio said, he had a couple things that he was going to categorize and prioritize, right? So, you know, what were some of those things? I think you even talked, Gio, if you want to lead us on this, what were some of the things that you brought home from LDS?
Can you guys hear me? Was great stuff, Tommy. That was some fire. I wasn't even thinking of the property and casualty thing, so that'd be a huge opportunity. Thanks for that. But yeah, I mean, some of the things, I mean, there's a ton. I don't know if you want me to just skim through it real quick.
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Yeah, so one of the first things we're going to implement actually today with our team, and I would recommend for sure, is who spoke about this? It was Clayton. He talks about this. He said when a lot of people talk about culture, they talk about vision and creating that for the team. And he said, when people come on our culture, when people come on our team, they get injected with our culture, right? We're not changing for anyone, right? They get changed into our culture, right? So he talked about, creating core values with the team. And I remember Tommy doing this a long time ago with you, man. But we're going to implement this basically, get everybody together and ask people, what the core values of the team are, right? So like get a list and get everybody bought into it, not just like a dictatorship of me going up there and saying, hey, here's my core values for our team. More like everybody kind of coming together and creating these core values, right? And getting everybody bought into it, making it fun, but also making it part of the culture. Like when we have to hold people accountable, everything's about the culture. So it's like, all right, guys, so do you think, like, if our culture is, excuses, that's our culture, right? So when they bring a problem to you or a concern, ask them like, hey, is this getting us closer to our culture? Is this one of our core values of making excuses? Because right now it sounds like this is not getting us closer to the culture. Everything was about culture. Everything was talking about vision and things of that.
Real quick, G. This is what he basically is saying is he's saying, get your team together and say, guys, who do we want to be? Let's characterize who we want to be, what we want to stand for as a team, and let's put it down there. if what kind of team do you want us to be? And you go through and Ryan gives it, Ryan says, I want to make sure that everybody's excited. I want to have a positive team. I want to have hardworking team, no excuses team. And the team comes up with what the team wants to be. But also, I remember, I think when we did this, Gio, because the team changes. I had a brand new team. I promoted Brody, and it was I was like, all right, guys, what do we want our team to be? And we all put it on the board. But we also wrote down what we didn't want our team to be. We put a couple things like we didn't want it to be. But sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, that's perfect. And I remember us doing this, so it's a good refresher too there. And he also said it took weeks. He said it wasn't a day thing. It said it took weeks to find the perfect things that we were going to stick to throughout the whole process of being a team. And that was just one of the things, for sure. But kind of going through this quickly, from the top, there's like 3 or 4 things. There's Mike Peragio, I think his last name is. Sounds Italian, but he said personal recruiting. He said when you get a personal recruit, he doesn't exchange numbers at the mall, right? Or if he gets somebody at the restaurant, he doesn't exchange numbers because that's not sexy, that's not appealing. What he does is he exchanges social media. He never actually gets their number in the beginning, right? So like when you're getting a personal recruit out there, exchange social media, and that's why we got to be on top of our social media, right? That's like our resume. First thing that we look at, when we're, maybe seeking a job or something like that is typically the social media. He talked about 3 platforms. Obviously, we know Facebook. He said that, your limit, I think, is 5,000 friends. He's like, if someone isn't responding back to you on like a DM, he said, just delete that person, defriend them, and then just get a new friend. You know what I mean? If you max if you've come to your max, just delete, people that are distracting. And also a side bonus, he said, someone asked, like, what about, sometimes it seems counterproductive to be on Facebook. There's a lot of negative people on there. And his answer to that is you choose your friend group. Sure. You choose who you want to be friends with. You don't have to be friends with those individuals. So if you're seeing somebody that's a little bit negative or just doesn't, see what you're looking to look for on Facebook, just delete those people, unfriend them. It's very easy. Second thing he talked about was IG. He said that, if you look at his IG, it's not very impressive. He has 900 followers. He's like, I have 900 followers. How can you have that much clout if you have 900 followers? What he says is he's always tagging people, and it's not what you post, it's them reposting your post and who they know, right? So he has up to 10 people that he'll make repost his post, basically. I thought that was fire. He talked about TikTok. He said the only regret he has about TikTok is not getting it a little bit sooner. He said it's worldwide. And I thought of Ryan Wilson, first person I thought about with the TikTok game. But that's something that we can all utilize because it's worldwide and you can post the same stuff about family. He talked about not posting your own paycheck. He said post other people's recognition, other people's paychecks, things of that sort. Recognize promotions, growth, agency. He said send a bunch of DMs. He said do not copy and paste. I know we talked about that. I think Zoffin even talked about that. He said do not copy and paste because you actually get flagged by social media, right? Which I didn't know that at all. So do not copy and paste, kind of make it a little bit more personable. Plus, you don't know who knows who. How many times do we get a personal message? We're like, dude, we got the same one. You know what I mean? So kind of make it a little bit personalized. I thought that was fire. Oh, he talked about docked. I think I'm saying that correctly, but you can have something on your phone that has all your social media and things of that sort. You tap their phone and it exchanges all of your information. He even goes as far as having the webinar in there and they can watch the webinar, right? I thought that was pretty sick, but you literally, also you can carry a card on you that has literally you exchange. It just, you like scan it on your phone and it gives them all your information, your social media, all the platforms of social media. I thought that was just fire. Tristan, he talked about, making people make money quickly. Like he said, their first day, people get $10 a book. That way they go home and they tell their parents, listen, I made 50, 60 bucks today. Or, hey, I made 80 bucks today. They're already making money. A lot of times people quit because they're not making money right off the rip. But he said, giving people $10 a book, even when they first start training. You know what I mean? He said, catch people doing the right things. You know, we're so fixated on catching people doing all the wrong things in business. He said, try this with your spouse. You know, catch them doing all the right things. You know what I mean? Maybe they burn dinner, or maybe you know, do this, that, and another, but you don't really call that stuff out. You just call the good things that they do. And I need to work on this for sure in leadership. So I'm glad he brought that up. He said that when you're constantly, you know, bringing up all the bad things people do, what people end up doing is they freeze up because they feel as if no matter what they do, they're going to F up. They're going to mess up. So they just freeze and they don't want to do anything. So you got to catch them doing good things and catch them doing the right things. I thought that was fire. He said people are motivated by three things. Tommy and I just talked about this. Those three things are money, recognition, and time off, right? Money, recognition, and time off. So what he said was you need to make your team about those three things. When you create a competition, it has to be about those three things, right? You know, a lot of times we're so fixated on creating competitions that benefit us, but it really needs to be about benefiting them. I don't care about time off. You know me, I'll work all day, every day. But other people, that's what they're motivated by. So we have to cater to the other people. I thought this was fire from Clayton. You know, he said he gives an extra $250 to anybody that gets a personal hire, not just the company. He gives them an extra $250. He said that we're so fixated on giving money to vendors, right? It takes us, you know, $150 to $250 to typically get a hire, sometimes even more. Some agencies are $300-400. Why not give that to the person that's on your team that's probably struggling for money anyways? You're going to get paid $250 anyways, right? Because you're their upline. So why not give that $250 up front to them as soon as they get hired? That way, there's a little bit more of an incentive, and they're getting that money who's probably struggling. He talked about, let's see here, there's people. Oh, he talked about, I thought this was fire. He said, every 30 days, I got so much fire from this. I know you guys all got something to say, but I don't want to miss this. He said, every 30 days, you should have somebody that you're sniping to the essay position. You should be evaluating every 30 days. And Tommy, I mean, you've talked about this a million times. A lot of this stuff is regurgitated, but every 30 days, you're sniping the next essay. A lot of times, you know, you'll have a top MGA or a top GA spend so much time with someone that's been here for a week. I'm to blame here for sure. But why not spend some time with someone like Gina or Sydney, someone that's been here for a while, and spend the next 30 days developing them to the essay position so that you have a bunch of leaders, right? So he talked about sniping every 30 days. It should be a cycle. It should be literally every 30 days you're promoting an essay, next person, promoting an essay, you're working 30 days throughout diligently and building dynamic relationships he talked about, right? He said that it shouldn't be a friend zone type of thing. You know, there should be some pressure there. Like when you're around Tommy, you get a little nervous, right? You don't want to let him down, right? There's that intimidation a little bit, but you also feel like you want to be around Tommy because you're growing when you're with him. It's like you don't want to be around him because you're nervous to make a call, but you do want to be around him because you know you're going to grow with him, right? There needs to be a dynamic relationship. It can't just be, hey, you guys are buddies. You guys are going out over the weekends and there's no pressure there, right? Talked about that in the last couple of things because I don't want to take away from everybody else, but you know, Tristan said comparison is the thief of all joy, right? We all talked about that, but he said comparison, when in the right context, is actually a really good thing. He said and he even mentioned us. He said when I was first beginning in the deal, I'd always compete against Gio. He's like, he would write 30, I'd try to write 30. Yeah, you know, you look at people in the spotlight that wrote 50 and you'd want to quit. You know, first person I thought about was Ashley. You know, we're comparing to people that are in the spotlight, and that's good. But what he said was,
Gio, you guys stay on and keep going. I gotta hop off with Natalie. Just she's gonna get mad at me if I'm late. So I'm gonna hop on with her. You guys stay on though and wrap up with all this stuff because it's all fire, right?
All right, cool. Sounds good.
Thanks.
I'll go over the last couple of things, then whatever you guys want to go over. But
yeah,
I don't know if I have anything left to.
well, what he said was, he said, compare yourself. Like he has somebody that I forget what area he's in, But, Tristan was saying when he was growing up, sometimes they didn't have food in the house. Sometimes they really didn't have AC. He's like, we would have to take turns on the fan, like who was getting the fan that night? It was almost cooler and less hot, sleeping outside. And he started talking about this and he's like, dude, this one dude that works for him was in a third world country. He's like, dude, we didn't know when we were going to eat. He's like, there would go 2 days, by when we wouldn't eat any food. There wouldn't be any, dude. There was times where a whole week would go by, we didn't have clean water. He's like, what are you comparing yourself to? You got to compare yourself to situations that are lesser than you, maybe jobs that are lesser than ours, and really we don't have it that bad. You know what I mean? So he also said a blessing too soon is a curse. Sometimes we'll want this promotion so freaking bad. We're like, dude, we want to be an MGA. We want that promotion. And then we get promoted and we realize we got promoted too early, right? And then we realize that blessing was actually a curse because we weren't ready for it. Sometimes we do this in relationships. We see a girl, we're like, damn, dude, it'd be nice to be with that girl. Or, hey, it'd be nice to be with that guy. You end up being with that person. And the example he used was, 2 months later, you find spray paint on your car. And then he's talking about, that didn't end too well, right? So, sometimes the blessing that we want so freaking bad, if it's too early, it ends up being a curse. And, I'll just say the last thing, I guess, because like I said, I'm going to say.
Oh, it's the last day? Are you gonna go over the last day now?
Dude, I thought this was so interesting. He said, Dominic Ferdini said that anybody that gets terminated or quit with the company, they get a survey. And a lot of people think that people quit because of money or maybe they don't like their manager. And that's part of it. That's just part of, the world. But they said that majority of people, they actually quit because what was said in the webinar didn't line up to the training. So what he said was this. He said, before you even start training people, he said, what you should do, you should develop a game plan with them of how much income they want to make. What's that's going to take? How many appointments? How many calls? How many sits? How many referrals? And literally, whatever they want to make with income, whatever they want to put in, you do that same plan during the training and you show them. You go out and show them exactly what you guys created together. It was an activity plan. That way, whatever he wanted, whatever he expected was exactly what is going to happen during the training. You tell him, hey, listen. He says, hey, I want to make $1,000 a week. You say, okay, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. And then guess what? 99% of what you do has to be action. Only 1% of that is actually talking about it. He said 99% of it, you have to show them. So during the training process, you do exactly the plan that you guys created together and show them, boom, that's how you made $1,000. They can never say, hey, dude, this wasn't exactly how we planned, because you showed them exactly how to plan out that income, right? Right? I mean, how can you go wrong there? Right? How can you go wrong if the biggest thing is like, hey, they told us we were going to make $1,000 a week, and listen, I'll show you exactly how to do that. You got to be upfront with them. Okay. I don't want to give too much of the sauce, but those are some things that I got. What you guys got? I mean, dude, there was 2 days. If those 5 things are all you got, then
Sorry, going to dinner because we wanted to eat should eat all the meal and give you guys the appetizer.
I don't want to miss those good stuff.
Well, I'll go next. So, I mean, you touched base on everything really, besides like the in-person recruiting, the in-home recruiting, out of the house needs to happen. Like David Zoffin gave us the script. We literally have exactly what to say from the president, and if we're not saying it, it's just I mean, I guess you just don't want to grow your team and be successful, but he mentioned that was one of the biggest ways that he would be able to get recruits, and I think we don't do that enough. We see a lot of people, and if we just said that at the very end, it would go very well for us. We'd be able to get a lot more opportunities from in-home recruits. And we know when these job forms aren't doing too well, when the LinkedIn's aren't doing too well, when the RMSs aren't answering, those up and down days we have as entrepreneurs here, that's when this stuff is just a given. That's when this stuff is just a guarantee. So, he mentioned having 10 agents on your team, all grabbing one from each in-person sit. And if your agents are doing 10 sits a week, 10 presentations a week, you got 10 people, that's 100 in-person recruits in a whole week right there. I mean, if that shit doesn't blow your mind and make you want to go do that, then you might just want to stop being in this business. I don't know where your mind is, but that's huge. The other thing that I think Gio didn't touch on, if there's anything left, because he did such a great job there. I'm honestly glad he went over it all in the way he did, because it was probably better than we would all try to chop it up, and it was probably a lot quicker too. So the last thing was like MGAs and GAs, like never doing anything alone. I tried to take a lot of time with Tristan as much as I could, was waiting for some secret formula on how you develop your managers and how you show them what to do and everything. And he was like, what are your managers? What do they got to do? I was like, they got to teach people how to, make. He's like, make what? I'm like, sales. He's like, how do you make sales? Calls. Okay. How do you make calls? You call. Okay, great. So where's the problem here? Where are you having a problem teaching your managers on how to call and make money? Like they so leading from the front is everything, is what I'm getting at. There's whenever you're doing something as a GA or an SA, let's start with being an SA. You show people how to do things by taking them with you. You're showing them how to call, you're showing them how to present, you're showing them how to roll referrals, you're leading from the front. The GA's number one job is to teach an SA how to be the best SA he can. This is where I think a lot of us are messing up. As a GA, if you're about to do something that your SAs don't know, and they're sitting there calling or with their hands in their lap, or they're on break, you might as well say, hey, come over here real quick. I'm about to do this one-on-one. I'm about to call this job form. I'm about to do this third, whatever it may be. Not really any better time spent. Oh, well, I got this sit. I got to get ready in an hour. I got to go take a break. Well, I got this coming up. Well, this is more valuable than anything else you're probably about to go do. You know what I mean? So if you got to be late to your sit, it's good. Come hang out with me. So just MGA is doing nothing alone. GA is doing nothing alone. I think I need to get better on that for sure. That was it. That was all I wrote down. I'm sure there's much more. 20-30 minutes, team huddle, plan first and recognition, check for 6. Income report and trackers. I think Reich, yeah, wrote all those things down for me there. There was something Reich wanted to say, so I'll pass the microphone to Reich.
I think the biggest thing I took was that there's no reason that Ashley and Christina or like Marvin and Pat would have to do like these do 6 and these girls do 8. There's no reason that should even be the case, because what I found was there's a lot of MGAs, GAs, and SAs that do way better than us, been here for a lot less than us, and they have, the main thing was they just have more people, and they don't focus on putting pressure on, hey man, you have to do 8K every single week for the rest of the month. Sure, that might be your goal and that might be your commit, but you do not need to do that. That's going to burn you out. That's going to be, it's just counterproductive for the team. You're not, if you just focus your whole ALP, you're not going to put anything into your people that you need. Or like, and that's one of the biggest things I took. And I was like, why would I want to make Marvin do 8K every single week? Would I rather have him have 2 other Spanish speaking reps? They can do 2K a week and he still does 4. Like I find no reason for him to have to do 8. I think that's stupid for him to work so hard.
Yeah, and then when Marvin gets sick, and it's that
What am I gonna do?
we're screwed.
Yeah, like I can't have like a bunch of top producers and then have one of them gone. Like, everyone says that. I don't want to have so much pressure on all my people. It hurts. And the other biggest thing was like the manager check 6. That manager check 6, and it goes to the agent check 6. If I can check my managers on how they're doing with training, pipeline, recruiting, production, development, and retention, that means that my agents, they can go back right to my agents and check their 6, which was,
What was the manager one again?
it's recruiting, pipeline, training, production, development, retention. And then your agent check 6 is where if they have that shit unlocked, they go back to their agent and be like, all right, what's your check 6? What's your activity looking like? Are you not getting activity? All right, let's check the second thing. What's your referrals coming to? The second thing we're going to check. And if you're hitting those 2 things, let's check your production. All right, you're doing good production. All right, cool. I'm like, now, man, you're doing really well on all those three. What's your quality and your conservation of that thing? Like how much stays on? And then, you go back to them, like you said with the income report card, you check their finances. Like, it's like, oh, you're making bread, bro. Let's do it. Let's do it. And number 6 is convention. We're bringing it all up. The last thing I took from it is we're not doing cool activities for personal recruiting. Like these guys were telling me, they're like, yeah, dude, I took my team to the mall. I made sure everyone got paid. Everyone had to pay everyone has to have $400. You can't, don't come hang out with us if you're not gonna go buy money or buy something nice. Please don't. But go to the mall, have $400. Person who gets the most personal recruits out of a team of 10, the person who gets the most personal recruits, everyone just throw them $40. They get their shit paid for, and they got recruits, and everyone learned something. It was a cool ass activity. We all hung out at the mall or the bar or the club or wherever you guys want to go personally recruit at. And I was like, well, we don't do anything like that. We do a cool team activity, but when's the last time we did a team activity that involved it on training? Like that sounds sick.
Yeah, I love that, because I like putting money in people's pockets early on, because, if they see all the hours that we're working, nobody's making money, dude. And make it an incentive, like when we're talking about the 250, hey, here's an extra 250. You're gonna get 250 regardless, because you as the manager is gonna get the 250. Why not give them the 250 up front, right? They're gonna make more money. It's gonna be, instead of paying a vendor that we don't even know, it's not even our team, it takes 250 to get a hire anyways, so if they get you a hire, 250, and then doing what Wright just said is fire. That's great stuff. I think that's really where we're missing after being in this leadership. We realize it's a lot of culture, vision, casting, we're not doing a lot of, and just really just making sure people are meant to do. A lot of times, 90% of a lot of times people's problems are money. Why do they quit? "Oh, I'm not making any money." Let's make sure they make money pretty quick, and it's little shit. It might be the first day they make $50, and they're like, holy shit, I made $50 my first day. Yeah, they got paid that day.
Yeah,
Right.
I think a lot of the issues in general that can come from losing trust and losing sight in what AIL has to offer, it's gonna stem 99% of these problems that people have, whether it's mentally, anxiety or not believing or burning out, whatever it may be, the main thing that can fix all this stuff is not, like Tommy said, the best motivational speech is not having a couple top producers. Like it's just seeing everybody eat, people getting promoted, and people getting recognized. You know what I mean? Like he said, 3 things Tristan talked about: create an opportunity where everyone can have time off, recognition, and extra money.
Yeah.
When we have half the team doing production, the other half the team, I don't even know where half the team was yesterday for me, because the MGA's Tuesday, there was one sale. Like that is gonna kill us in the long run more than anything else ever will, no matter how many people we recruit, no matter how many stars we get in here. If they're witnessing this day in and day out, these high level people that are supposed to be carrying the stream they saw in the overview, that's immediately they're out. It's all false immediately, the first time, so I can say that's probably a big reason why, I shot up to 18 people and we're still at 14 people right now.
Let's.
I got something I want to say that I learned from Rachel Brown. Can you guys hear me?
Rachel, she was good.
Yeah, she said, just the 3 action items. Which is most important things to get done? What do you have to give up to go up? Experience is everything, and falling in love with the process. Just making sure that we're staying, with that in front of us. I feel like a lot of times we get, beat up by what we're going through. From what James Soden was saying too, 5 days of the week practice on referrals and role play. I feel like that definitely would help a lot too. Just spending like 15 or 30 minutes with your team, whether it's your SA deal or your GA deal, or even just the whole MGA squad getting together and role playing 5 days out of the week. I feel like if you do that before your appointments every day, it'll really help with the production level too, and just help people collect more referrals, keep it fresh on the brain every day. And eventually I feel like that'll help develop leaders too, because then there'll be people that'll be like, oh, well, are we role playing today? And let's role play, bro. Like, did you role play today? Like checking in with other people to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing too. So I think that was huge. 3 Qs, qualified, quality, and the best producer makes the people realize what they're supposed to be doing. You know, like conservation is generating wealth for you. Create a simple plan to make sure that your retention stays in order. And I think that's huge too. So just a couple of things that I got from it. I mean, you guys touched on pretty much everything, and I could talk a little bit longer, but that's pretty much all I
No,
got.
that's great. That's great, Jay. You actually reminded me of something. I don't want to take it though. Just releasing people a little early.
Go first.
Christina, can you talk about releasing people too early?
Oh, yes, honey, I could talk about it. Okay, so releasing, can I touch on something really quick though? Because I feel like you just said it and you literally just went on like right past it. But I know the biggest thing that we were talking about last night, we were on the phone for 2.5 hours with Melissa over here as well, the 3 of us. And really quick is just like mapping out your vision before the releasing people too early, like mapping out the vision. Like I feel like we have like this big banner that says 5 million in the agency room, but when's the last time that we actually talked about that? Like as an agency, when's the last time we talked about our RGA deal 4 million or our, separate MGA deals 2 million? And what does that mean to our people? But more than just what we want and what we've already set, like just driving all the new agents by what they want and what their goals are, and having like a clear understanding. Because when I first started, like I wasn't thinking big enough, and who made me do that was my upline, right? Is talking through like my goals and stuff. So if we're not doing that with our people, like we say it all the time, but without vision, people perish. So we wonder why these people aren't motivated, because all they're thinking about is what we want. Those numbers that we're trying to hit, the numbers that we set for them, the numbers that we're trying to hit, but they don't understand why, or they're not like using their why to drive them. So I just want to touch on that really quick. But releasing people too soon, I know this is huge. I just personally think we're in such a rush to constantly be training people and have the next training class, but we're not loving the ones we're with. We say this about the SITs, but we're not saying this about our trainees. Like, love the people you're with, give them everything you got, and don't release them just because you have another training class coming in. And I'm guilty of this too. I mean, we've started, I think I've trained 6 people this month, right? They don't all say, but I've trained 6 people this month. So when you think about it, like, are we giving those people the full attention that they need? Are we actually releasing them with 40 referrals? Like, I personally think it should be 60, but that's me, but it's fine. But like 40 referrals with release, like they need to have 3 sales to 4 sales on their own. We're saying 2. That's like, we're just like settling for bare minimum. And if we want these people to be able to write 2K a week, which should be easy, then they should be able to do 4 sales in a week, right? Like that shouldn't be hard. Like, we have to take into consideration trials and tribulations. I think that's like the biggest thing, is we're kind of just setting people up to be mediocre, but we need to like love the one we're with and just have them really set up, like rolling referrals. If you're scared to roll referrals, why are you released? If you're scared to collect referrals, why are you released? You can't sit there and collect 10 to 15 referrals each house. Why are you released? You're not at the level you need to be. You need to be working with your managers, riding out with different people. I think another big takeaway was, following the system, like having the SA, do the field training. That is our job. But then also having the GA come in and kind of polish that training. And then, last step, before you check off that final release, have your MGA ride out with them for a day, make sure that everything's in line. And if not, then you send it back to the SA and you fix those few things that need to be fixed. Don't just release them because, the agent wants to be released. I think the biggest thing that like I always ask agents when they're like, I can't wait to be released, I say, why? I say, why? I promise you, you're going to get better by having the guidance. You want to be released because you don't want to deal with my ass. That's fine. But I promise you, like, everything's constructed for a reason, so you being on your own, you're going to fall on your face if you do it too soon. So like following the system, having a very strict checklist, and not just moving on to the next training class, because that next training class, you might spend a week and a half and they might quit. But that agent that you just developed for a month, they're going to have more loyalty to you, they're going to work harder, and they're going to have more vision.
Yeah. She's training 6 people this month. Let's go, Christina. Come on.
Oh
Pretty
God, I
close.
mean, am I the only one left to go? Because I feel like you guys is dropping. everything.
What about Hunt?
Go ahead, you got, Hun's got it too, after you.
Oh, okay, I didn't see him in there.
Josh.
but, I do have one thing where I'm surprised that no one touched base on it. I'm honestly really, really shocked. Because if you think about it, everyone who was there, I feel like everyone can agree upon that the biggest thing every speaker that said was recruiting. I don't think one person didn't talk about recruiting or didn't have that spit out their mouth like, oh, recruiting. And I think that was every speaker said at least one thing about recruiting. I think that's the biggest thing that we're kind of like just brushing off on, or like, oh yeah, we'll get to it. But the biggest thing I was surprised that no one talked about was what Mike Labasti said, where he was talking about LinkedIn and or using, of course, free as well. Like David always talked about that, how we should be using our free resources. But the biggest thing is about that LinkedIn one, where you can utilize LinkedIn. And there's a software that shoots out where you can gather over like 24,000 or just a whole bunch of LinkedIn recruits, and you can put it in a software system and shoots out 24,000 emails or text messages, and you can gather that all at one time and bypass the LinkedIn rule for friend request. Like you're not requesting follow request. Help TV.
Melissa, how about this? I'm meeting with Mike Lavossi today at 12:30 to go over that system for us.
Fire. That
How
like
about
someone, he said, I'm like, what is that?
I'm
Like,
sure you're gonna share it with everybody too, right, Gio?
that? Absolutely. That's for everybody.
it's such a fire system, and I'm surprised that we're just not utilizing this stuff. Like, what can you imagine how much more expedite we can get? Like, yeah, we can spend there and DM 24 people, but imagine just shooting out one little button and like, okay, I just talked to 24,000 people. What? Like that just blows my mind. I think the biggest factor is like we're not utilizing little things like that. And I think he said it was only $60 a month, which is, I mean, investing $250 per person. Can you imagine $60 a month? That's like nothing. It's like giving candy away. If
I
anything.
think so.
So I think that was a really huge factor, because I think the biggest thing is recruiting is long-term wise, where I think it was either David or himself, Mike himself, did touch base on, you can be a top producer and you could be making money. Of course, everyone knows being top producer and writing a lot of money, it's gonna take you a lot and it's gonna take you far. But to go farther is when you have a team. That's where the real money is. Where they did statistics, they add numbers together, where if you add up how much a top producer makes compared to a manager, where it's like an RGA or MGA, they're making a lot more in the long term, whereas it's a top producer, where the top producer is grunting and grinding out all this hard work, and it's a lot being a top producer. That's why I give like Ashley and Christina credit when they are a top producer, because it's not easy. But I know as well as long-term wise, where the real money is what they said is that when you have a big team and you can go far, what they say is when you have a team and you're going together, you can go way farther. And I feel sometimes that's why people overlook and was like, oh, I just want to get to top producer. But really the real money is actually in building a team and being a whole together. I think that's going to make it just really going farther with that. So that's the biggest thing I thought I got out from that, just from not just one speaker, but overall, because everyone touched base on recruiting. And I think that's the biggest thing is sometimes here at our agency, we talk so much about ALP and who can write the most, or let's get 24K to go a gold chain. I think that's awesome and that's very motivating. But the biggest thing too, to go even farther, is building a team, and of course, adding on to the culture and the systems and procedures to take place of it. And honestly, even Tommy touched base on this, where our opportunity here, why don't we just simply tell people like, hey, Tommy actually specifically said himself, which I thought was fire. And when Tommy spit this out, was saying how if you had a chance to be a millionaire, which is this company, AIL, you have a chance to be a millionaire here. Why would you not take that chance? Then go work somewhere at 9 to 5 where you have 0% chance of being a millionaire. Would you rather take that 1% or 0.01%? Or would you rather take the 0% chance? I rather go and bust my butt off I agree with Tommy. I rather bust my butt off to try to work into that 0.001% chance of becoming a millionaire, rather than a 0% chance and like, oh, well, I'm never gonna get a chance to be a millionaire. And why not do it when it's here? So I thought that was something huge that Tommy just put into perspective for many people, because it's true though. I feel like everyone's always watering like, oh, the grass is greener somewhere else. I'll go work somewhere else. It's easier. Or it's I'm not working long more hours, but I'm still getting paid. Well, you have a 0% chance to reaching your dreams and visions. Have fun and good luck with trying to chase it now. You got 0% chance. Where here, at least you got like a 0.1%. So I thought that was a fire just about Tommy saying that himself, and that really opened up my perspective, like how we have that here. And I think sometimes we're just taking for granted and looking over it to that aspect as well. So I thought that was huge. And I can go on. There's so much more, even like with Albie talking about the two best lessons are adversity and experience. And if you guys really just take the time to just think about it, is like clearly when you're writing sales and getting the experience for it, I think that's huge, because there's no better lessons than the experience itself. Because when you go through that process, you're like, oh, well, I just got beat up on this. Oh, right, I'm gonna share this with someone else, and like, so they don't get beat up. That's a big lesson itself. Then the adversity, he says, whoa, it's the next biggest lesson is adversity. Because if you think about it, it's just all perception. If you use that adversity either to kick you down or to motivate you, what really I feel like a majority of people use it as like, oh, I got this person happened, this or whatever adversity happened, they use it as, oh, okay, I'm gonna take the day off. Or you're like, what, you know what, that adversity happened. And I thought that was incredible, Albie's story. If you guys ever have a chance to just listen to Albie's story about, I don't know, he had tubes coming out of him and his bike got stolen, just crazy stuff, adversity all in one day. And he still went back into the field and still crushed it out. He used that adversity to motivate him. And I think that's the biggest thing, is like those two biggest things is really perceptive. And that's what even Tristan talked about, is having that perception and perspective of just really bringing it outcome is just positivity. Always look at positive and look at where we are, because clearly we're all here for a reason. We're here for opportunity. And that's the biggest factor of it. I don't see anything different with it. And I think sometimes just the way we look at things, sometimes we just don't realize what's in front of us. So we really just gotta just rethink why we're here. And I think that's the biggest factor of it. So
Yeah.
that's all I got.
All right, I need 30 seconds because we covered a lot of good things, but I don't want to take any time because I know we all have to talk about agency today. Honestly, the biggest thing, I took so much stuff, but literally in 30 seconds, one thing from Clayton Slaughter that I thought was just fire was obviously giving praise to your agents. I'm very straightforward, and I know a lot of us are too. And like you said, we sometimes focus on the things they do wrong instead of praising them for the things they do right. However, you shouldn't be praising people for the things that is the standard. So one like little verbiage he said, and I already had a meeting with all my essays yesterday with some of this stuff. I still have so much more to go over, but one of the things he said specifically, for example, is, you know, Thursday morning, you get up to the office, we have our leadership huddle, our agents are all working in there. Not everybody's in there. You know, when we got here, we didn't have anybody today, unfortunately. But sometimes there's those few people that are here right on the dot making calls at 8. I shouldn't go over to them and say, hey, great job for showing up early. I should say, hey, I'm glad to see you, man. Great job on getting here early. That's exactly what I expect from you if you want to hit your goal.
Yeah.
Just making that the standard. It was just the verbiage he said. Instead of like praising them and saying like, hey, great job for being here, you should praise them. But they also need to understand on the flip side that like, you gave me a goal. I would expect you to be here doing this if you want to hit your goal. So I'm praising you. But at the same time, like when you really think about it, if you want to do what you told me you're going to do, I'm not surprised you're here. You know, I'll make you feel like a little bit good about it, but I'm not going to go head over heels because this is the standard in this business. You know, you should be getting down on yourself if you're not here. So catching people in the right acts instead of catching them in the wrong acts, and then making them understand that when they do the right things, congratulate them, but also letting them know that that's exactly what they should be doing to hit their goal that they set.
Yeah.
That was all.
Yeah, that was good. That's fire. Dude, and none of this stuff is even gonna make a difference if we don't implement it. So that's why I'm glad that we're all going over this as a squad, as a team. You know, it's really one team, one dream. So we're all in this together. And you know, Clayton did say the last thing he said we should all feel like we're on this journey together. We should all feel like we're on this growth journey together. working toward our goals, growing, developing. This is a journey, this is our vision, so. Let me know if you guys have questions, let the leaders know, we all that went, you know, stuff like that. Hey, for my team, we can just meet up for like 1 minute, you know, like 5 minutes. We don't really have to meet up very long, because we pretty much went over everything I was gonna go over with you anyways. You know, I just wanna be able to make sure that we're on the same page with stuff, but we can meet up for like 5-10 minutes real quick, okay?
Me and that
You
cat
just jump on my
right now.
Oh, yeah, that cash money, is that you just click on the link?
I believe so.
It's paid for.
Vince did his work,
Oh, okay, okay,
so
cool.
we don't have it, but Vince has it.
Cool.
On me.
We're on.